Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to the new episode of Easy Change podcast with your hosts, Easy and Change. I'm Easy, by the way, and I have a birthday today. Let's go.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. And for my birthday, we have a special guest. His name is David, and he's amazing. That's needs no further introduction. So, I'm gonna tell you a little about my birthday so far. So yesterday, Mitani gave me this beautiful, beautiful T-shirt from the movie we watched like 2 months ago, and I love it. And we ate some cool pasta, some cool spaghetti, and to get this pasta, we asked my mom, what ingredients do we need? So she wrote us a list of ingredients, and we said, oh, we'll just buy that from the Bulgarian store. So it was about this long of a list. So then we got the Bulgarian store, we shop a little bit, and then we come out. Then our bill is like 30 euros. And the second we got out, we realized we got nothing from that list. we got we got everything that we're not supposed to get, and we got nothing that we were supposed to have. So then we had to shop at Albert Heijn as well. And then that's it about me. How have your lives
How,
been?
how did it happen to go in the store and to get nothing from the list?
Well, because it's a Bulgarian store, so we don't get to see those things very often. And then we were in the store and we saw all of these interesting things like those cookies, Usmivki and Ayran and Kiseo Mlako. So we were just distracted.
Yeah. Nice.
Alright.
David?
How was how was my day yesterday?
We say, because we're doing it once a week, we say normally what happened like through the week. Something
Oh,
significant.
well, Stefan was here yesterday and he told me that it was his birthday and he wanted me to do something like a podcast. I said, "What? Me? Why?" Anyway, so I said, "Okay, why not?"
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the highlight of my week.
Really, I'm flattered. Mm.
So, oh, by the way, I'm Itani's father. If you didn't mention that.
I did.
This
Alright.
was
Say hello to
this was
Itani.
this was amazing plot twist for everybody who is watching in the future. I
Yeah.
think people know who's Mitani from before. But Stefan didn't say that you are the father, so
No,
and also
I s-
he never showed Mitani, so it's very interesting because they would never know how she looks, so they don't think normally that you're the father.
Well, her
I
name.
watched I watched I watched her make your t-shirts
Yeah.
for two days. She did a lot of work.
Wow. Yeah, it looks so professional. It's so nice.
I helped too.
Really?
I I printed some things for her birthday t-shirt. So I
Thanks.
participated.
It was a great job. I really like them. Oh, which brings me, you asked me like last week if I ever did any like building my own wooden shells or something like that, and I told you no. But if you're ever doing it again, you can tell me, and then I'll be so happy to help you do anything. So, David showed me this Japanese saw that he has, and this Japanese carpentry book, And it seemed so interesting because apparently they don't use any nails or glue or anything. They just fit things together perfectly.
Like
That's
a
the idea.
for carpets, machine for carpets.
What? No, like
What did
buildings
you say?
or shells.
Woodwork,
Ah, food. Aha, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
joint work. Very intricate joints so that they click, stick.
Yeah.
You can't.
So what have you done
Mm.
like woodwork in before?
Me?
Yeah.
I built this thing here.
It's called house.
The the girls used to sleep upstairs here.
Yeah.
So this is a platform, and then I built those things.
Wow.
Built that.
So,
I'm not a
so you
skilled
built
carpenter.
the house?
No, just the room, just to make storage space in the room. And I built some stairs over here so that they can walk up here. It was only useful for about a year and a half before they got tired of it and didn't like to sleep next to the ceiling.
But now it's still in use, right?
It's now just storage.
Well, that's still
Just
helpful.
been used for storage.
Imagine if everything that was there was also inside of the room somewhere. That would take up
Oh
even
my
more
God!
space.
Then we would really be homeless. We would have to live outside someplace. But yeah, those are the things I built. Just look it up on find the internet or something like that. Find a plan and start cutting and
And did you do it with nails and bolts or did you do it the Japanese way?
oh, nails and bolts, mostly bolts. The Japanese way is just a curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You have to buy so many tools and
Yeah.
precise measuring. You have to do such precise measuring that yeah, it would be an interesting thing to do if you had the time to do it. And
It's
it's very
like a
beautiful work.
meditation.
Yes, yes. So it's
I
something
love.
that I might.
Sorry, I want to say because it's like meditation. It's like really like taking your time with everything. I love pomelo because of this. Because pomelo is like the biggest citrus, and then you peel it one by one, and then I'm taking my time like extremely like yes, yes. It's amazing. I love just to have one pomelo here around me.
Why,
and
what
feed
is
it.
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah.
I've never seen this thing.
Pomelo.
Yeah. Can you show it again?
Well, it's not so existing right now. Normally it looks like that. It's like between a big orange and no, not like an orange. Something like what was the red orange? Yeah, whatever, red orange. Something between a red
Grapefruit.
orange, yeah, grapefruit and honey melon. Something like because it's big, yeah, but inside it's with these little little things that's literally like a citrus, literally like a citrus, like a lemon,
Yeah.
and it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's super nice, and it's a great source of electrolyte. And I love just peeling it because super big, and you can just take your time whenever you eat it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your attention.
And it makes you think, right? Like when you're peeling it, your mind gets to be free and think about whatever you want.
That's true. That's true. I just love doing
Yeah.
things in
You
meditative
are
state.
you go to the temple, a Buddhist temple, right? That's what Stefan told me.
I Yeah, I go to the temple. It's not Buddhist. temple, it's actually the opposite because,
What?
well, Buddhist temple, Buddhism doesn't have any god or any god. The temple I'm going to has the most amount of god. The Eastern way of looking like through life with so many gods. So like Krishna, Vishnu, these gods. So this type of temple where it's super interesting. Every time you do the same thing, so it's great for people who are wearing the same every day. You go there and you do the same. First you sing a lot, then you have lecture by someone authority, and then you sing again, and then you eat, and that's 2 times a day or 3 times a day, depends on how it's going. But this is 2 times a day, all the time.
You would have an interesting conversation with my wife, Kim, because she's a student of these things. I'm not as much as interested in Vedanta as
Yes,
she is, but she studied that a bit. So, suggestion for your next podcast: invite Kim.
All right. All
You two
right.
would have a lot to talk about. She just did a, I think maybe a half a year ago, did a Vipassana. Do you know that?
this
You
is
know Vipassana?
not
Vipassana.
sure.
She attended some. She goes to a retreat where they don't speak for 3 days, not a word, and you exist in that
Community.
environment. Yeah, small.
Yes.
It's a small group.
Yeah.
I think it's free. Her friend just recently
I
returned from it, and
I don't think it's free. I looked some stuff like that. I think you need to pay also because they are giving you food and accommodation, but
yeah,
it's not
probably.
but it's not so much. Yes, and
Yeah.
also because they're making your food and you cannot say no. Like I don't want this. They're preparing for your food before you start it. Like for instance, I don't eat meat, I don't eat eggs, and they're making menu for you. So for sure, it's like a small fee.
Okay, you would have a very good conversation with her, because she's
or not conversation. We should
or
just
not
decide.
conversation. You just look at each other.
Yeah. But you also go to the Christian church, right?
Kim, my wife.
No, you also go to the Christian church, Molly, right?
Yes, that's true. I also go sometimes to Christian church, and a couple of weeks ago, I think now week and a half, I don't know how much, I I was invited to be Jesus for one advertisement for Easter.
And you, David, also
Like a
go to
Jeep.
the Christian church.
Uh, Not because I look like Jesus, though. Well, it's I go to the church. It's the church I used to belong to. Oh, I still kind of belong to it, but I'm more an observer, and I have friends there, so it's I'm more or less just studying and listening to what they say, a little bit critically, but
Yeah.
so it's,
What
it's also
what
not a
type of church is
traditional
it?
Christian church. Sorry?
What type of Christianity is there? Like this church?
It's called the Unification Church. It's a Korean Christianity. Its founder was Sun Myung Moon. They're
Oh,
called the Moonies in the West.
Mm.
So I joined that church when I was 21. I left and I joined
uh,
again at 24.
Yeah.
And then I left 2 or 3 times, and then I returned to get married. That's with Kim. And then we raised 3 children, and then I kind of did other things. And now I attend because I'm curious about the philosophy, the thinking, and just I'm curious about the reasoning of religion. So I have conversations and just drink coffee there. But I'm not worshiping there. So yeah, I wouldn't call it a normal Christian church. It's
It, it's
more like,
like
yeah,
Protestant.
Protestant, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, just yeah, it's an unusual theology, but it has to do with Christianity and its sense of what you call providence. It's a theological thing about the providence of humanity towards, yeah, whatever.
But you're from a Japanese family, so what house were you brought up in? Were they religious in something or were they not?
Well, my grandmother was Buddhist. My father wasn't religious, but he promised his grandmother, I mean my grandmother, his mother, to uh, put us into a church. This was in America. So he made us go to Sunday school, but he himself wasn't a believer.
Oh. But
So it was a Presbyterian church, and I really didn't know anything about religion. And the moment I could stop going, I stopped going.
yeah.
And that was fine with him.
But then at 21 you joined this other church, so then you must have had the interest.
Curious, I heard a presentation of their teaching, and then so I joined initially, and I returned. I was hitchhiking. I returned to San Francisco, and then became more interested in something else. That's when I started to do martial arts. And then at 24, I returned to the church because I'd always been thinking about it, and it was about time to try to understand more deeply. So then I committed myself to the
Yeah.
church at that time.
So what are some like important or thoughtful things you were talking about there that you had interest? Like what are some things that you were discussing with the other people that were, you know, nice and important or
Now or before?
well, anytime. Like what kind of stuff is going on in the church?
Oh, well, theological discussions are always abstract. They have to do with sometimes politics, sometimes uh, death, sometimes just general philosophy, and I'm more interested in the psychological. So I approach religion from a psychological viewpoint, which is why I'm more interested in understanding like Carl Jung, as we discussed before, one of our conversations. Carl Jung, or the philosophy of mind. I'm interested in how the concept of the mind is developed over time, approaches to it, and yeah, what happens? What happens when you go into deep states of a transcendent kind of consciousness? If what even what is a transcendent state of consciousness? Where do dreams fall into that understanding? So that's what I'm primarily interested in, and religion indirectly deals with these things, but they have their dogmas So it's very difficult to speak past religious people's dogmas. But yeah,
Yeah, it is very interesting.
I know many people start doing meditation because they want to achieve some state like this, as you said, like transcendent state. I had experience which was, I think, was kind of like that, like super involved, like a little bit like transcendence. But there's a lot of stuff that, like, for instance, there's remote viewing, there is out of body experience where you go and you put your consciousness somewhere else and you can look around. It's a little bit different. And what I've personally experienced was I never heard it about. It's not like wow, but for me it was amazing, and the experience as well and everything. But I haven't heard it. Like I haven't heard nobody saying something like that that they have experienced. And it was guided meditation with breath work. And at some point you need to exhale everything, and then you just stop breathing for as long as you can. You just hold your breath, but you don't have breath, so you you hold what you don't have inside, basically. But so I stopped, and then because I was doing it all the time laying down on my bed, I felt like if, for instance, if this is my body, I felt it became black, like super black, like super black rock, obsidian or something like that, and it becoming super small, smaller, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where, for instance, my body is like I'm 1 meter 85 centimeters, and my body became something like this big, this super intense blackness, but also, and it was like still on the bed, but also the rest of my body, it was full of light. It was like this form, this like for making some form for making like ice or something like that. I felt it like I am both at the same time this black spot and this light. And you can see that this is, for instance, a body made of light, but you cannot see details like my face or something like that because it's light. And it was super intense. I felt like it was like at least 5-10 minutes. It was not like feeling like somebody can touch you or something. It was feeling like knowing, like I just know I'm light and this small thing at the same time, which was super interesting. And because it was not only one time that you stop breathing, I felt it 3 times in this meditation in different states. But yeah, I just found something in what you were saying that reminded me of it.
Yeah, and now that you mention, I remember so much how much I was into like meditation and controlling my subconsciousness or my thoughts. And I remember there was so many valuable things you could do with your subconscious when you go in a deep state. And like, for example, now I remember I had this thing where I meditate and I go deeper and deeper and deeper. And when I feel like I am at a very deep place and I just there in my own world, then I would kind of make this garden, like this would be the garden of my soul. And then I would go in there, and whatever I see in there, I knew had some symbolism. So then, let's say there was a, like, let's say there was a this sunflower that looks at the sun, and then I would ask it, "What do you symbolize? Why are you in my garden? What are you doing here?" And then the sunflower would tell me, "Well, it's sunny, and you like the sun. You like to be out in the sun, so that's what I'm here to represent." And then I would ask the next thing. So you can really learn a lot about yourself from there, I think. or
Yeah.
it would, like, we used to do a lot of different very specific meditations, like when with Silva, with the Silva Mastermind and with the Mind Valley. Um, but now I don't quite remember
Cool.
what they were, to be honest. I don't remember them too good. I remember I used to do for myself guided visualizations. So then, like one time, I recorded an hour and a half of a visualization where I'm just with a microphone, and so at first I say like, you go like, I would go through some sort of getting you relaxed. So for example, before when I started kickboxing, when I first learned about it, they would say focus on each part of you, like individually. Like first focus on your forehead, and then feel it relaxing, and then focus on your nose and feel it relaxing, and focus on your cheekbones, feel them relaxing, and then like that you go through your whole body, up or down or up, doesn't matter. Like, and then, but then I like to do those things in a different way because I found it way more creative. So for example, one time I felt like, so I was sitting in the train, and I just visualized how they're putting on my entire body like some black paint or some clay or something. Yeah, it was clay. I just imagined like people putting clay on my entire body, and my body, like I was sitting, so obviously you cannot put clay on my back, but then in my visualization I was sitting, but sitting on nothing. I was just levitating kind of. So then they put clay on my entire body, and then like finally when I felt so relaxed inside of this clay, they like broke it out, and then like I was on the inside. So it's like I was clean or I was protected or something. So then I went deep into this state. And then when I was deep into that state, I would do for myself guided visualizations. So one time I remember I made a visualization to imagine that I am in the future, and I'm like a successful singer or something, or a rapper, I think it was. And then I would, for an hour, I would be like talking about, like, yes, now you're going to go to this place and you're going to meet these people. And then I go there, you know, in my imagination, and I do meet those people, and I do those things. And then I would listen to that, and I would really, it felt really nice because then I felt more connected to my goal. And I really had an idea about it because often we're like, what is unknown may be exciting and it may be fear, like igniting fear because it's unknown, we don't know. But then if you kind of imagine it or you see it or you think about it a lot, then it's less fear, it's causing you less fear, and you can still be excited about it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now
Interesting.
I want to start again doing these meditations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, did you meditate?
Me?
Yeah.
Used to. I started Zen meditation before I did martial arts in San Francisco. I've always been interested in philosophy of, or even the science of meditation, such that I tried to define what is a transcendent state as opposed to a non transcendent state or an extraordinary experience. You mentioned fear or the things that create fear, anxiety. What are the perceptual stimulus in the environment that give rise to anxiety? Or or take anxiety away. So, in a way, all human experience is interesting because they sit on other layers of perception that we are not necessarily conscious of, uh, only because we are not paying attention to it. So, like when you say in your training, think of feel here, feel you're slowly relaxing or something, then you're giving attention to something that is something that you can sense, but normally people wouldn't. So, what are you talking about? What's the point?
Yeah.
But the point is that you're capable of actually tuning into very minute sensations that underlie our consciousness. And the balance of these things is normally, you take it for granted, it's balanced, and that leads to an assumption or sense of normalcy. So anxiety is something that's pointing your pointing you towards something's in the balance of things is not quite right. The extreme of that is, of course, fear and maybe panic at the end of it. So it's fascinating, this whole layered uh, layered sense perceptions that that exist, say precognitively. Eventually, you become cognitive of it to the point where you try to figure it out. You're so
Yeah.
worried about something. What is it that I'm worried about? Where did I put those damn keys?
Yeah.
Because I have to go someplace, and so the emotion, you live with the emotions, but underlying that whole sequence of events, which leads to first feeling of uncomfortableness, something's funny, anxiety, alarm. Yeah, it's very interesting. Just the physiological, the biological process of it, and then so leading up to, well, what is a transcendent experience? And the things that you can do with thought, with imagery, imagination, to put you into states of uh, sensation or emotion that feels good sometimes, or can feel bad if you obsess over something like a lost love or something like that. Or yeah, it's all fascinating, and people's experiences, they're authentic. So if you have something, maybe the problem is in the description of it, our description of our experiences. We're not often able to articulate exactly it is what we've experienced, because experience will always be in the past, and our efforts to communicate it to another person is going to be complicated by what we can actually remember. Maybe we start making things up because we don't exactly know what happened, so we add to the story. We we
And
add to
that
the story.
and that's how history is created. And our books in school, they're super full of history because everybody's adding something a little bit, and then bam, we don't know the
Yes,
history of humanity, what is going on.
exactly, exactly.
I've been thinking a lot about how the human machine works, especially the mind. How does it work? Because, for example, we were talking yesterday about, like, you go in a shady neighborhood or in the wrong street, and then immediately you're aware, like, your mind tells you this is a creepy street, or your mind tells you this person is shady, but he's doing that in fractions of a second, and you so it happens instantly. And then I was really thinking about it. So since I started Kodam, and I've been working a lot with computers, and I realized that everything in coding is done with, like, literally two statements. It's if and when, and then you just have functions. So you say, if the stove is turned
Yeah.
on, then don't touch the stove, or while the stove is turned on, don't touch the stove, and things like this. And then I'm thinking about it, and like there is so much in our minds through, let's say, me, I'm 22 now. So 22 years of life experience, and it somehow is combined all together in my mind, and I know so much about the world. So when the day is sunny, like I see that instantly. I'm not thinking about, is the day sunny, processing, yes, the day is sunny. No, I know that the day is sunny. Or when I see like either of you, I know that this is Moni, I know this is David. Or when I, it's incredible how much we have in our, how many things happen in our mind, like simultaneously. Or for example, we had this project where we have to, it's kind of like Sudoku, you know Sudoku? So it was very similar to Sudoku, and we had to solve it. So we had to make a program that solves it. And then the program was not working at all. Like it maybe gave 6 5s in the same square or something like that. It was terrible. But then we worked on it, and eventually, when we were getting evaluated, the evaluator tried 700 combinations, and in less than a second, it solved everything. So then immediately I was like, wow, this is crazy. But then I thought about it, like the human mind, it kind of does the same thing. It also does these crazy things that we're not even realizing sometimes.
We have incredible creators.
Hmm?
We have incredible creators.
Can you come closer? I don't hear anything.
We have incredible creators
I guess so.
as humans.
Yeah. Or like, as you said, we have a incredible creator. Like there are some things that, for example, I heard about in the Amazon, like they have thousands of different plants and stuff, right? And they somehow figured there how to make ayahuasca, where you have 3 active ingredients, and any of those ingredients, if you make it by itself, it produces nothing. Like it doesn't give you the, it doesn't get you in this state that ayahuasca does. Any 2 of the ingredients together, they don't do that. But if you get the 3 ingredients together, they suddenly become ayahuasca. So, and you got thousands of these. So that means that you've got an, a countless amount of combinations of things you can try to cook together, but somehow they figured out ayahuasca, like without dying. Or maybe they died but they kept going. But how, like this is incredible when you think about it.
Yeah. I also
There's
think there's a lot of intuition involved with stuff like that.
yeah. There's interesting studies by this one philosopher. He's a Dutch philosopher. His name is Bernardo Castro, and where he refers to uh, neurological scans of people who are on psychedelics. Because when you're on a psychedelic trip, you experience so many details and enormous, elaborate scenes or situations that, well, people would say, well, that's crazy, all the things that person can experience. But when they study the brain under psychedelics, they actually show a reduced brain activity, such that conclusion is that, well, they can't be just imagining this. They must actually be seeing something. So ordinarily in a dream, your brain will produce the imagery, and that will show itself as heightened brain activity, a high level of neuronal activity. Well, in the case of a psychedelic trip, brain activity actually quiets down. So that means you are more or less very passive. Yet you're open to this enormous landscape of multidimensional experience that can't possibly be produced by just your brain. So that's something that implies another realm of yeah, perception into another realm, which is interesting because I don't do psychedelics, but psychedelics really in California where I grew up, psychedelics, LSD, all these things went together with the hippies and the new spirituality and experimenting with drugs, experimenting with new religious ideas. So yeah, it's fascinating to me, and each culture has its own attempt to be transcendent, whether it's in the West through ascetic practices. So, what is a transcendent experience? You know, what is or a spiritual experience? What people say is a spiritual experience. Recently, I've come to reduce kind of reduce it to, well, everybody has spiritual experiences, but they don't know that they don't call it a spiritual experience. What's the most common? I mean, something that's it's kind of like it's kind of overwhelming. It's kind of wonderful, joyful. Is when you're a kid. Well, the first time you fell in love with somebody,
Yeah.
you could have been 4 years old. I remember being 4 years, 5 years old. Actually, I think I was six because I was in school. It wasn't kindergarten; it was the first grade. For some reason, I felt infatuated with one little girl. I don't think I ever talked to her, but she appeared in my dream. You know, and to this day, I can still remember. It's overwhelming feeling of warmth. Yeah, love. Uh, who knows whether the person I even thought about is real? Maybe it was a composite of a number of different people, but I tend to think it was one particular girl. I can
Yeah.
remember the name, or at least the name I gave to her. Anyway, but I think that's quite common. Everybody has a first love. It's a feeling of overwhelming, something that overwhelms you, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember
spiritual.
there was a day like 2 months ago, or yeah, it must have been around 2 months ago, when it was a Friday, and first Mitani and I went with some friends to an Argentinian restaurant where you could eat, like, it was all you can eat, and they had all kinds of Argentinian meat. It was amazing. And then after that, we went to this party, which was a Spanish party, and they played one song that, like, I was in love with at the time. And then I just had such a good time. And then when we like went to sleep, when we went to sleep, and I just started crying, like, I could not stop crying. And it was not a cry because I was sad about something, it was not because something was upsetting me, but I just realized, like, I love her so much, and it was so overwhelming. I could not. I did. It's never happened to me, like, to cry. I don't cry often. I don't cry from happiness ever. But suddenly, like, I had this amazing day, and it was so overwhelming. I The only thing I could do was just cry, and I didn't understand that really. But then, with more time and more thought and discussions about it, like, it does feel kind of spiritual.
Yeah.
It was so
Yeah.
incredible.
I feel also about the falling in love that every boy's first love is their mother when you were so young. like even before 6 years old. You just you looked at your creator and you're like, oh my God. And because your mother loves you so much unconditionally, and you just popped out of nowhere. She's giving you this incredible love, and you're like, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. I know this is, I think, Freudian theory, but I really don't understand that. Does that mean you want to
What?
have babies with your mom? What do you mean fall in love?
N- Like you love her, like the first thing that you love, but like imagine you love, like when you say falling in love, I feel it like it's just a deeper state of love. You know, falling in love and love is just not the same. And this is the first thing that it's like intense love. You just look at this person and you want to be always around them. You know, you don't need to have intimate connection with them,
Okay.
but you want to be always with them because they make you feel amazing,
Yeah, it makes
incredible.
sense because it's your mother. After all.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's called in Jungian terms the Great Mother. It's I don't know if you're familiar with the term archetypes.
Yeah.
Well, it's the maybe the most powerful archetype. It's the mother represents and not just, yes, at a certain point that kind of love can represent sexual love, but initially it's not sexual. It's it's all encompassing. It's acceptance. It's protection. It's security. It's comfort. You surrender to it. Yeah, if you're a baby, you're an infant. Well, yeah, of course it's your mother. You know, she
Mm.
embraces you. She keeps you warm. You cry. She's the first thing that comes to you. You suckle at her breast. You, your mother is absolutely everything. Until later, when this other creature steps in. What's that? Oh, he's called Papa. Not that you even have words to express it, but your total perceptions is your of your mother. She's everything, absolutely everything. And as you grow, then you find out other things can represent that same feeling of warmth and security, but also it's a little bit dangerous because suddenly you do something not right, you don't know what you did, and this loving thing suddenly is cold toward you, girl, let's say. But if it's your sister, of course, you get used to it. But then you go outside the house and you meet other creatures that look like your sister, look like your mother, and they become dangerous in a way because you could just look the wrong way and then they give you a cold shoulder. They turn away from you.
Yeah.
I mean, so the process of the feminine, yeah, the feminine is so powerful. I can't really say I understand from a girl's point of view. I imagine it's similar, but not exactly the same because feminine for boys, of course, grows at a certain point into sexuality. Uh, or yeah, but at least initially, if you're an infant, you're yeah, your mother's everything.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I remember just one anecdote. I remember when I was at maybe a schoolboy. My mother and my father worked all day, so I wouldn't see them. But one time I called my mother, and she's always busy at work. They worked together. They ran a photo finishing studio. And then I just talked to her about my day, And I was so amazed that I could just keep talking to her for about a half an hour, and that she would listen to me. Normally, she never listens to me, but for some reason, she gave me the time to just talk on the phone for half an hour, and I was just talking about nothing, just talking, just to talk, and it felt so normal that. But to this day, I can still remember that phone call. Can't remember what we talked about, but I can remember that she bothered to talk to me for a half an hour on the phone. So your connection to your mother is so deep and fundamental. It's there's some spiritual aspect to it that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about the mother and the child, something other that fascinates me about, because it just stuck with me when you said our amazing creator or something, our incredible creator. Like, I would always think before, um, like who we are is more of a environmental thing, like more of a, you can pick up this interest and you can learn, like you can pick up drawing and you can become a drawer or painter, or you can pick up books and you can become educated or something. So it just depends on you. But then when you look at nature, what, bro?
You say you can like drawing and you can become a drawer.
Yeah, you can become a drawer and just put your clothes in there. No, you can become a person who draws or who paints, or you can become a person who drives a car. So I would think, you decide who you are, because that's been my experience. But then,
Can I say something? There is one like philosophy. If you don't do it like but people say, what are you? Like what are you doing? And if you paint, bro, you are a painter. You don't become it after you paint. You become it when like with the same second as you started painting, and you don't need to like make 15,000 paintings and to sell them to be a painter. You can be a painter just by starting. Like, okay, I'm a painter. Why? Because you're painting. Oh, are you a singer? Well, I'm singing. So this is the only definition of singer. It's the person who sings, and I'm
yeah,
singing.
I know.
So I get sing.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
was more talking about, well, what are you going to become with your life? Like, you can paint one time, but if you look at incredible artists who painted like this is uh, who painted incredible things, and you're thinking, wow, can I do that? So then you think, so I would always think, yeah, you can do that. Like, you just do it for 20 years and you put all of your energy into it and it becomes. But then, like, for example, I look at a cat, or not a cat even, like, there are these, okay, a cat. How does a cat know how to cat? Like, a cat, or, okay, not even a cat. Like, there are these flies that they lay their eggs and then they die, and in another season their eggs become flies again. So who taught these flies how to be a fly? How do they know how to find food? How do they, which encoded in their DNA, I would imagine, or someone is telling them from like the universe or something. But then how, like, we're like them, but we're way more advanced. So it probably means, therefore, that we also get things encoded in our DNA that are so important to who we become and what we do, how we find food, or how we fly into the world. Like the flies are. So then that probably means that it matters so much where we come from, because we weren't just spawned in this earth like me. I wasn't just spawned here from nothing. Like, I come from my parents, and they come from their parents, and they come from their parents, and eventually they come from like a single cell organism. So that means there was like millions and millions of years evolution. So it probably means that the genes that I have, maybe they have a lot of importance to who I become. So then now I'm thinking more, it's a combination of the two, which I never thought before.
It's always connected. Everything is connected.
I guess so. But really, how does a cat know how to cat?
Well, it's the great Sudoku coder, this guy who has already worked out the program in your DNA.
Yeah. Sudoku.
Or the
You did it. You did it.
Okay.
Or
we
your
have
team did it.
Yes. ChatGPT did
the
it mostly.
the difference. What I feel it's between us and other animals is that they're super driven by impulses. So for them, for a cat to be a cat, it's very easy because it's the only thing that there is it's impulse. Oh, this is moving. This is moving. Look at this. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, look at this. It's looking at me crazy. Bam, slap. Bam, another slap. Oh, it's moving. Bam, slap. I don't know. But then, well, this is moving. I think like it's smaller than me. Probably I can eat it. And then runs towards it. Bam, I ate it. Okay, nice. But this also looks like this. Bam, so I eat it. And but we don't have like this. We have, but we also, because of our brain, we can understand deeply, a little bit more deeply, the reality around us, and we have this need to understand and to get to know the truth, and this desire to not be lied by ourselves or the others. And there's also the part with free will, which some people say we don't have free will. What is your opinion, both of you?
Well, I would say that's a difficult question. I mean, to speak about coherently without cliches. But getting back to thought I just I had is that as human beings we are group animals, and as group animals, tribal animals, we do mimic. We have a great capacity for mimicry, or we are, so we are aware of collective normalization, collective behavior, and therefore we try to fit in to the collective in order to be balanced, because we're also very keen for things that stick out like a sore thumb. So whether that's in the family or outside the family, in whatever group, work group, play group, social group, there's the phenomenon of, yeah, you do what everybody else is doing. If you don't know what to do, you just look around and see what the other group members are doing, and maybe you start noticing things like, well, this group, there seems to be one member who's more important, or everybody else seems to mimic or copy. And so, we just have an inherent capacity to notice and to fit in. So if you say, is there free will in that? Well, it's the free will to join a group, to become part of the group, and to flow with the group to some extent. But then at some point, maybe you don't want to be in that group, or you want to go this way, where everybody else wants to go that way. There's an interesting idea that I was thinking about, like a school of fish or a school of birds. They they're moving together, a swarm. But the change of direction seems to happen simultaneously. Everybody seems to move. Well, it's not exactly simultaneously. It's kind of like a wave,
Yeah.
kind of like in a football stadium where one person starts a wave, and it's not everybody waving simultaneously, but they kind of one. You pay attention to your partner, the one that's next to you, and if he moves this way, then you move that way. So you move according to what's your immediate surroundings. But on the edge, let's say like you're a school of fish, and here comes a shark, you know. So if you're on the edge of the school of fish, yeah, you're in trouble. The shark is going to eat you up. And so emotionally, that's really panic. You're panic. You're in a state of you're going to be eaten. So the emotions that are at the edge, well, they don't go into the main group of fish. They just see movement. So in a way, groups protect themselves by insulating themselves from the outside, where you have extreme emotion, panic, fear, danger. So the group can still survive, and everybody inside says, okay, move to the left, move to the right. Well, at the edge, of course, your brothers and sisters where they're getting eaten up by the shark. But as a swarm, you can manage the shark, and you don't have to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're more balanced. I think human beings are kind of like that. We see this every day with terrible things happening in the world, but we don't feel them. Whether it's in wars in the Middle East or in Ukraine, people are dying, people are killing. That's extreme emotion. That's hatred, fear. Yet, when you're far removed of it, you don't feel any of that, because we respond to our local environment. And sometimes it feels, is this good? Is this right that we are so disinterested in other people's suffering? Well, in a certain way, you have to be disconnected. Otherwise, you can't have everybody experiencing that extreme emotion. Although people, when they start to get political, they bring that emotion into what should be just more calm. Yeah, I'm kind of wandering off the topic here, but anyway,
Well,
full of fish.
I see what you mean, but then my question is more in what you said. When you imagine the group of birds flying, and you say
Yes.
they don't move simultaneously, like one moves and then the other follow it. But then this group of birds, they don't fly randomly. Well, sometimes they do, but then every winter they fly south. Well, you start in Alkmaar, you fly south for half a day, you reach Amsterdam, temperature is very much the same. So how do they know to trust to go all the way like thousands of kilometers to the south? Like this is crazy. They
This
leave their home and they go to the south so much. Like this to me sounds like their little brains, like how do they have this impulse? It sounds crazy that they have a switch in their brain that tells them it's getting cold, fly this way. Like why would you fly that way? How do they know that?
But this is literally embodied they have embodied in their DNA. There was this study with monkeys where probably you heard about it, super famous, where there's like 4 monkeys or 5 monkeys in a cage, and they have a ladder, and on the top of the ladder there is banana. Okay, and the scientists did this. When a monkey went up to the ladder for bananas, they put, I'm not sure, was it like electricity to the wrist or just rain, but they were not very, it was not very pleasant for the other monkeys, right? So when the monkey came down, they were either like everybody felt the rain. Like if it was not the rain, it was electricity. everybody started beating up the monkey that went up to the ladder. But then there was this another monkey that tried, because this was only one. There was this another monkey that tried. They beat up the monkey. There was yeah, and so on. So
This
at
sounds
some
like the
point,
most cruel study of animals. They shock them, they taste them, they beat them up.
no, the monkey beat themselves up because
But
they
they
understand
facilitated it.
because they understand don't go to the ladder, don't go up to the ladder.
Yeah.
But at some point, they remove one monkey, they remove the second monkey, and for instance, one of the monkey has kids, right? And at some point, the kids they never thought about going up to the ladder because they say, "Oh, this is not good. For sure,
Wow.
it's not good." You know, it's so embodied. And for instance, this is a study that was created like 1 or 2 generations maximum. But what for the birds, they are doing this for the beginning of the beginning of Earth. They are doing this
Yeah.
for many generations.
Yeah. No, but I'm really thinking about how does it work because like it's very I've been thinking about it so much recently because like I've been looking online people who make 3D art and it is insane what people are doing right now. Like before you have the games from 1990 or from the early 2000s and you know you can kind of make out that this is a road, this is a building. You can obviously play the game but it's not looking like the real world at all. Like GTA San Andreas, his hands are like he doesn't even have fingers. It's like his fingers are all joined together like a glove kind of. It's it's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you look at what they're doing right now, which is only 20, 30 years later, and it is so realistic. Like with my, if I'm playing the game, I don't know. Well, of course I do, but if you just look at a frame, sometimes you can not tell if it's real or if it's like sometimes the simulation is more real than the real world because it just renders so much more than a camera. And I'm thinking, wow, we're really beginning to be able to build our own worlds, while at the same time, AI is taking over the world, which is something that, we didn't think would happen because of
What do
the.
you mean? Everybody's talking about this for more than 20 years.
No, but the thing is, everyone's been talking it's going to do it, but no one's been saying, like, it's gonna. No one thought it's gonna happen so quickly, no one thought it's gonna happen with this because the way it is, it works with large language models, which is like when you write in your phone, I am a, and it tries to hint you, banana, or it says football player. So it kind of helps you to finish your sentence. And this is what AI is, just much more scaled up. Now, nobody thought this is how we're gonna get AI because it doesn't really make much sense. Because how is it gonna be able to reason? How is it gonna be able to do those things? Like it's not intelligence. It is artificial, but it's not intelligence. So that's what I mean. Like no one thought it came so suddenly from something so small because there was like the early 2010s people were just playing around with stuff like machine learning and large language models and then someone found out that you can actually scale this up and make something that kind of looks like AI and then from there everyone started investing billions and billions into it and now it's amazing what it can do. Like I use it every day, it's astonishing. But the thing I'm thinking about is you know we're kind of getting this intelligence. Well, of course, you can always reason and say it's not conscious, but then it's kind of like the human brain. Like you feed this machine terabytes and terabytes of information, and then suddenly it kind of understands some things. Kind of like if this is a stove and it's turned on, I don't touch it because I'm gonna get this, which is actually I have it from the stove. I was not think. I was not.
Oh, how did you touch the stove like that?
No, it was not the stove, but the oven. When I was flipping the pita breads, I kind of touched it
Okay.
at the top. But then what I mean is getting close to making these non-player characters who are, you cannot tell that they're non-player characters. Like if you're just playing a game and you got this AI and it's telling you every time different things, you can have a conversation with it. You don't know if it's a real person or not on the other end. So we're becoming very close to making these NPCs in the game, while at the same time our 3D modeling and design has become so incredible that, like, I can imagine in 10 to 15 to even if we say 100 years, that's still not that much, like in the history of Earth. We're becoming very close to actually being gods ourselves, being able to create these worlds that are just like our world, and if you're in there you wouldn't know. So then, like, that's what I'm thinking, because we have things encoded in our DNA. Well, how does this work? Like, we can create a different person. I can create like my own Keanu Reeves in the game or something. I can make this person the way I want it to be, but then that person then has, like, interacts with a different person from the game, a female character, and then suddenly their code gets mixed together. Like, that is so interesting to me, and I feel like we're becoming so close. We're coming so close to it.
It's interesting when we use phrases like we can become like gods ourselves. That it kind of implies that, well, God. What is the definition of a god? Powerful creator, referring back to your creator of a soul or whatever. Yeah, those are kind of traditional interpretations or definitions of God. But my questions these days is, well, perhaps we're captured by these definitions that in the end don't serve us well. God, that's powerful, that's controlling, that's perhaps it's something else. Perhaps it's something more subtle, more like falling in love. Something small. Something not so much a magnificent, controlling, authoritative. Perhaps it's something more like the opposites of these things, whatever. Innocence, purity,
I don't quite get
gentleness.
that.
Well, if you say, well, what is a god? We aspire to be gods. Well, yeah, some people do. If you mean they aspire to be powerful, they aspire to control. Yeah, people are trying to be gods in the sense that, but then perhaps that's not a good definition of what a god is. That's a definition of something else.
Okay.
Manipulation. Yeah. Maybe deceptive, deceiving. Yeah, controlling.
But then how can
So,
God be love or these other things you said?
like I said, God is just a word. It's how we define something that, like in Taoism. Taoism says the Tao that can be spoken of is not the Tao, right?
The Dow Jones Index?
So the word,
What's the Dow?
right? The Tao Te Ching, the Tao Te Ching.
I have not heard it.
That's the Chinese yin yang. Taoism, it's a Chinese philosophy. Tao is interpreted in the West as the way. Well, the way of what? No, just the way.
Yeah.
The way of life, the way of existence. Or, oh, that's the Chinese definition of God, right? Yeah. Okay, perhaps. But it's a word that infers something that, like this, Yahweh, right? Jehovah, Yahweh, in the Bible, or It's the word that represents something that cannot be spoken of in a word. Yet we use the word all the time. God. So that's why I'm saying we associate this definition of God with the power, control, the creator, and I
Yeah.
think that's where religion gets itself into its dogmas and its conditioned thinking, and it's ultimately confused. It confuses us. It leads us down into wrong, rational conclusions that are more mislead us than enlighten us.
Yeah.
So like I say, something perhaps more simple. We have to incorporate simplicity and never lose those subtle things that
Yeah.
maybe you're feeling your little muscle twitch when you're doing your taekwondo.
Yeah, but in the
This is
in the example with the simulation, then like exactly the thing that we're thinking God is, the person who created everything, the person who can do anything he wants. Well, that is what we become as creators of a simulated universe, because we created everything. We create their emotions if they have any, and we can literally do anything in that world. Like right now in the real world, I'm thinking, this is my arm. It's impossible for my arm to turn into a motorcycle. That doesn't make sense. But if I'm looking at it as a computer simulation and I see the graphics of an arm, I can easily make it a motorcycle. It will be a motorcycle arm. So then we will be like just the
You can do
2D.
it also. You can do it also in with your own arm.
How?
But you just need to
well. I
believe
was
it.
well. You are modeling. You're attempting to represent something. When you create something, you're trying to you're you're not making anything really new. You're re-representing something in maybe a new configuration because you're bored with the last configuration. So you make something new just to keep things interesting. But it's not really new. It's just a new configuration of something. So when you want to get to the essence of things, you're talking about something that's original in itself. It's not recreatable because it's already there. It's just there, and we're just playing around with re-representing it in a different form, in a different medium, perhaps. So maybe intelligence possibly works along that same way of thinking. It's just a re-representation of something that's we don't really have a complete grasp of. So it's not the thing itself in itself. It's a copy of something.
Yeah. In the
So then, yeah,
in
go
the
ahead.
context of our world, if we make it, then it will be a representation of our world. As you say, it's not going to be original. But if you think about the simulated universe, and if you think about the context of that world, if you think this is the, like, you think of the little computer game and you think this is the universe, like you are just a person in there. If we're able to simulate consciousness, then the people who are in this game, this will be their real world, and we will have created this for them. So it's kind of like nothing existed in that world before because there was no world, and we literally from nothing made it. So then for their universe, for their world, we did create something original because they were not existing before. But then, like in our world, it's just a representation of our real universe, our real world. But then for their world,
Hey,
yeah, for their little world, they didn't know about this whole thing. So like if our world that I can touch and smell and feel, if this is original and real for us, maybe it wasn't for whoever created it, if it was created. You see what I mean?
I'm a little confused. There's, I think, there's, there are different worlds, and they impose themselves on your world, and when that happens, the world that you've created doesn't matter as much as this other world. But this other world right now is imposing itself on me because I gotta go to the toilet now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reality of my body right now. So maybe it's a good time to finish it off. 'Cause,
I
Ah, you're
guess
not
so.
kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, and it's also my
Remember, I-
birthday. I
Yeah,
gotta
okay,
get
yeah.
ready for the day.
Yeah, I came back from my coffee, and it's about time for that coffee to leave my
Leave
my
the
body.
universe.
Yeah.
To leave your universe. Well, I am
Oh.
so happy that we made this episode. I'm so happy that it's my birthday. I'm so thankful to you, both of you, that this is how I got to spend the first an hour and a half of my birthday. It was amazing.
Well,
Thank you so much.
also, yeah, and I saw Mitani walk by, so
Yeah,
I did see her.
it's
She is on the podcast
yeah. she, it was
for a brief moment.
very low quality. Yes.
Oh, she's always high quality.
Well, in the real world, not on your little computer screen.
Uh,
She was
so,
like
happy birthday.
15 pixels big.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
happy birthday, and it's nice to meet you, Simona, or whatever. I forget.
You can call me Simo
Simo,
or Moni.
Moni. Yeah, forgive me for mispronouncing.
Simo.
It was,
I-
it's
thought-
nice to have met you.
Thank you so
Me
much
too.
for your
Nice.
times, guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye, Stefan.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day today.
Have a nice
Yes.
day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Да продавам бомбони на центъра. И после имам танци и след танците ще си взема яке, ново яке, което е готино.
Як е
Но
лече.
след това,
Като
да,
ти
след
стане
това
студено и
утре
слагам,
яке.
лечето.
Какво е?
Лечето. Това казахме си око на видеото.
Окей, майко мила. Бе, звучеше ми мега познато, ама не са толкова неврони, за да го свържа.
Да.
Ама, утре, вчера Тони ми звънна, моята приятелка, която танцува. Вчера ми звънна и ми каза, предложи ми да участвам в още един филм. Да, и този филм, между другото, ще е sci-fi. Първият български sci-fi филм някога по кината. Никога не е правено нещо такова. Утре казаха, че им трябва някакъв актьор като мен, за някакъв персонаж като мен. С дълга коса, някакъв Jesus looking again.
Пак ли?
Така че, в принцип тя ме звънна вчера и още вчера трябваше да се видим, но бях в мола с един приятел и той си избираше някакви тениски и просто не стигнахме до там да стигнем. Но утре сутринта отивам да се запозная с хората, те да ми кажат малко повече за филма и то не най-вероятно да се участва и в този филм, което е супер яко.
Чукни, брат.
Вау!
Ева, супер фаер.
Мега фан. И
Изкефи
също
ли?
идвам, аз исках да му кажа също, че ще идвам, нали. Това ми бяха трите неща, които аз реално не казах за деня си. Едното е за филма, Другото е, че си прекарах готин уикенд с приятели в една вила. И третото беше, че ще идвам, нали, който най-вероятно мога да се запознаем с него, ако той е близо до Амстердам или в Амстердам. Той е в Амстердам, нали?
Той е в Амстердам, да.
Иначе на King's Day може да се запознаем, което ще бъде уникално, бате!
Да, със сигурност. Изкефи ли те
Да,
разговор?
да,
Ума му.
да.
Много е гадно. Кажи за хижата тогава набързо и да свършваме.
За вилата, ами просто готина виличка, отиваш там, спокойно е. Ние прекарахме, аз прекарах по-малко от ден там, буквално, защото отидох вечерта и после на другия ден към 5 часа си тръгнахме, обаче просто беше готино. Имах една готина вечер с тях и после се върнах. Така че, някакъв брат, имаш рожден ден, отивай, купонясваш. После пак ще говорим за това, че ще идвам и да
Сега
трябва
ще ходим да
видим.
се катерим. Между другото,
Какво?
ще ходим да се катерим.
Днес бе.
Да, в този джим, дето може да работя там, случайно. Може не се знае.
Where?
Обичам те, брат.
No way.
Бра.
Обичам те, пожелавам ти най-щастливия рожден ден. Да си заобиколен точно от хората, които най-много те обичат. Също
Мерси. Мерси.
виждаме се. Ще бъде между другото много готино, ако мога да се свържа с господин Дейвид и може би някой път, когато, защото ние изобщо не говорихме за трейдинг, някой път, когато той трейдва, просто да трейдваме заедно, да си направим една сесия. Той какво трейдваше? Фьючерси, нали?
Фьючерси. Да. Индекси.
Индекси и фьючерси. Да, окей.
Може и други неща да трейдвам, най-често.
Да, аз не съм сигурен за правят както е. Отидай се във лайк.
Аре, брат.
Айде.
Чао.